Today we're going to start working on Maverick's e-collar training. And in this part of the video, we are going to work on finding what we refer to as the working number. As you can see, Maverick's a little excited here. He wants to do stuff. I'm currently set to 15.15 on the remote. I suggest before implementing this training is reading over your manual. It's pretty straightforward. I train 99.9% of the time with the NIC function. We don't use the pager, which is a vibrate. We don't use the boost or the continuous. Those are what I refer to as emergency functions, which we'll cover later on in the video. But 99.9% of the time, we are training with the NIC function, okay? So the NIC is a pre-timed sensation. Once you press it, it's just that quick stim. It's a fraction of a second. Whereas with continuous, the dog would feel it for up to 12 seconds for as long as you hold the button down. So if I held the button down for 5 seconds and then release, the dog would feel 5 seconds of stimulation. And the boost you would set. The boost goes up a certain number of levels, preset levels, so it can jump from 20 to 80, for example. So continuous and boost we refer to as the emergency buttons. In case, we've had dogs get spooked by fireworks and you have to override the fear flight response, and that's typically where a lot of pressure comes into play. But otherwise, 99.9% of the time, we're using that NIC function, okay? So when we talk about the working level, we're talking about the stim of the collar and how the dog perceives it. So there's technically 3 levels: connection, perception, and working. Connection would be if Maverick is, staring at a dog, maybe he wants to play, and you're pressing on the button, and you'll see this very obvious kind of twitch here on his neck, but he is just so focused on that dog, he could care less about the sensation. With the with perception, you'll see the twitch, and the Maverick may look around, but he's going to focus back on the squirrel again, or I'm sorry, on the dog again. You'll see the twitch. He'll look around. He'll focus on the dog again. You're getting through to him, but he's still too focused on the dog to really care enough to break away from it. Okay. With the working level, same thing, you see the twitch, but Maverick might back away from the dog. He might sit back, he might turn around, he might look at you. He's gonna stop what he's doing and do something else. It's a complete 180 shift in behavior. So if we take a dog, for example, that is lunging and barking, a very kind of a obvious behavior, and then we correct them at the working level, the dog would go from lunging and barking to calm and passive, okay? The working level is going to change according to the context. Is Maverick under stress? Is he calm? Is he excited? Is it a stimulating environment? Is he playing with 10 other dogs? All these things factor in when it comes to finding the correct working number. So it's not going to be a concrete answer. It's not going to be 30 is always the answer. You're going to change it according to what's going on in life at the moment, okay? And I'm going to teach you how to do all that stuff. So in the beginning, don't be surprised if his number is higher, and then over time it dips, because that's the most common thing that we see is the number is higher, and over the course of time, as the dog is more conditioned and becomes more cognizant of the collar, the number dips because they're more sensitive to it in the sense that they're aware of it. Some dogs start low and they go high, and then some dogs stay static. Every case is different, but the most common is high number, and then over time it can dip, okay? Now, when using this correctly and following the instructions, the application of this should always decline. Okay, so in the beginning it's a lot because we're shaping everything, we're teaching everything, we're setting the expectations, but then in time as the dog learns all these things, the application becomes less, okay? Clients always ask, when does this go away? And I tell them in my book, when you need it, it doesn't. So that means if you're going to be at the dog park with Maverick, or if he's going to be playing with his dog friends, you'd most likely need the collar because you have to account for the stimulating environment, okay? This has nothing to do with the training. This has nothing to do with my skills as a trainer. This is simply a fact of life. It's what's called opportunistic behavior. If a dog is told to do something and they have the option not to do it, or they have the option to make a different decision, they will do so. Same thing goes for humans. Very common example that I give is when people drive on the expressway, there's a speed limit. Most people go above the speed limit, and then when they see a cop car or a squad car, they slow down. And then once they pass the cop car and it's clear, they speed back up again. That's again what we call opportunistic behavior. The human is aware that there's threat of consequence, there's threat of getting a ticket. So they change their behavior, they slow down, and then once they're clear of that threat of consequence, they speed back up again, okay? Same thing for the dog. When the collar is on, he's gonna be obedient and he knows there's threat of consequence, but the moment the collar's off, he may test boundaries, okay? So, but if you're using this correctly, again, in the beginning, you're using it a lot and it should decline over time. And then it's really just there in case something happens. You know, I've had clients be at the park with their dogs off leash and a kid blows up a random firework in the middle of October. Stuff like that happens. So in that situation, it's not really about obedience, it's about behavior because the dog is going to fear flight response. And this is the only tool that will allow us to override that situation. So moving forward now, I'm at 15.15. And we always start at 15 because that's typically where most dogs start to feel it. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to find Maverick's working number. Remember, we have connection, perception, and working. So here I'm at 15 with no instruction. I'm going to tap on the bumpy button here as I look at Maverick. And I'm looking where the box is placed, which is over here to his right side. Tap, 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 nothing. 20, tap, maybe a little something there. Tap, tap, tap. 25, tap, there it is. So I can see the twitch. Tap, tap, there, you can see the twitch right there. Tap, tap, right? But he's not really caring about it too much. When we go to 30, tap, tap, tap. Again, you can see the twitch. Somebody's got his attention over here, so he's not caring about that. So this is still connection. Tap, 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 tap. A little movement there. So that might be perception. So we're going to go to 38. Tap. Right there. Wait a moment. Tap, 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 tap. So you can see, again, he's distracted. And at 38, it's not doing anything. So we're going to go up. I'm going to go to 40. Tap, tap, tap. Right there. Maybe a little something. Wait a moment. Tap, 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 tap. So distracted, you can see he's not caring about 40, 45, tap, 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 50, tap, right there. Tap, 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 maybe not. Tap. So you can see when the distraction leaves, tap. Good. Now he backed up into a sitting position. So I'm going to dip that down. I'm going to go down to 40. I'm going to try back again, 40. Tap, tap, right there. Okay. So here, you can see when he's distracted, right? And you can see the obvious twitch. And he just continues focusing on whatever it is that has his attention. That's why we call that connection and not working. Because so when Elizabeth came out, I tapped at 50, and not till really she was gone from the environment did the 50 get through, and then 50 looked like too much. And there was a slight vocalization, and he like later sat down, and then I dipped it down to 40 to work my way back up again. And at 40, he went from laying down to sitting or sitting from laying down, right? Like I got a shift in behavior almost immediately, and that's what we're looking for. So right now, the reason why we're not saying anything is it's easier for the average dog owner to recognize the working number or the impact of the working number when they're stationary. If you're moving and you're trying to find the working number and like Maverick walks to you or something, we don't know if he walked to you because of the collar or did he walk to you because you were moving or tension on the leash. There's a lot more variables. So here, if I'm just standing still and Maverick is standing too and I give a tap, tap, right here, that movement into the sitting position off of 2 taps is very obvious. Because I said, I didn't say sit, I didn't say anything, I just started tapping on the collar, and Maverick's like, hey, this thing is annoying me, I'm gonna move it here and I'm gonna put my butt down. Because he doesn't know what to do yet, right? So this isn't unfair or anything like that. Dogs don't have a concept of fair and unfair, but this is the easiest way for the average dog owner in the beginning to decipher whether or not the setting that they're using is connection, perception, or working, okay? And as you can see, I took my time and I follow what I call my 3-tap rule. Every 3 taps, if I don't see a change in behavior, I bump it 5 levels. There was a point where I bumped it 3 levels because I was like, I think I'm kind of close. I think it was 35 to 38. And that did nothing. Then with the 40, that did nothing. That's when I ended up going up to 50 and then back down to 40 again, okay? So here, as we condition Maverick, he's going to start understanding that this thing is not random. It's telling him something. It's communicating with them, right? Right now, this is seemingly random, so a lot of times the dog's like, what the hell is that? and it's because they don't have an association yet. Once I create the association, then the dog goes, okay, what is it that you need me to do? Okay. So the next thing is, if you noticed earlier, like Maverick was kind of edgy, like he's still a bit stimulated. He's in a passive alert state right now. He's laying down, but his head is up. He was a bit anxious, kind of pacing and all that stuff, but now he's starting to settle down because there's something that's more concerning. So he's deciding to calm down, and we'll talk about that as we progress. Because typically, one of the most common problems that we see with dogs today is what we call overstimulation. It's the brain's inability to turn off or to relax. It's super common. Typically, it is a result of lack of boundaries, rules and boundaries, and rules and boundaries that a dog understands. I'm sure at home you've probably tried to correct Maverick by telling him no, maybe pull him in timeout, maybe you ignore him, things like that. That's not how dogs correct each other. Dogs nip and bite each other. That's why the prong collar that Maverick has, is designed the way it is. It's meant to mimic a dog bite. A lot of people don't know that. They look at it and they just think it's a torture device, and it's not. It's designed. Those are teeth. Those prongs are teeth that are meant to mimic a dog bite. Okay, so here, if Maverick got out of line with another dog, they would nip and bite him as a line of communication to tell him to not do that. This is the same thing that we do with remote collar. I like to think of it as a bite on the button. But here with remote collar, we can teach him to do things like sit and stay and come and all that stuff. But we can also teach him to not do things like don't jump, don't bark, don't bite. Okay. So this completes the finding your dog's working level portion of this comprehensive video, and we'll be back with heel. Come on, yeah, boy.